The soldiers of the 73rd Naval Centre of the Ukrainian Special Operations Force are destroying the Russian and Korean army in Kursk Oblast and obtaining important data on these troops. The press service of the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces reported on this. The Special Operations Forces released a video showing how their operatives are mopping up the area after a successful hit on North Korean groups. During special operations, they collect information on the number, weapons and personal data of the personnel fighting on the Russia side who have been killed. In particular, this applies to North Korean soldiers who are used by Russia as cannon fodder for assaults on the Ukrainian Defense Forces positions in Kursk Oblast, the Special Operations Forces notes. In the footage released, operatives from the 73rd Special Operations Forces Centre take samples from the dead North Korean soldiers for further DNA analysis. This is necessary to identify the North Koreans and enter them into the relevant databases and conduct further investigations. For weeks, Ukrainian troops braced for an unfamiliar enemy. North Korean soldiers sent to bolster Moscow's forces after Ukraine launched a lightning-fast incursion and seized territory in Russia's Kursk region over the summer. Their arrival marked a new and alarming phase in the war. And while initially inexperienced on the battlefield, North Korean troops have adapted quickly, a development that could have far-reaching consequences as they gain combat knowledge in the war against Ukraine. Unlike the Russian troops, Ukraine has been battling for nearly 3 years. Kiev's forces were uncertain about what to expect from this new adversary, drawn into the war after Moscow and Pyongyang signed an agreement pledging military assistance using all means if either were attacked. One Ukrainian soldier who has witnessed North Koreans in battle described them as disciplined and highly methodical, saying they were more professional than their Russian counterparts. The soldier spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to discuss the sensitive military issue. There is consensus among Ukrainian soldiers, military intelligence and others monitoring developments on the ground. While Pyongyang's troops lacked battlefield experience when they arrived, that has been changing quickly. With 1.2 million troops, North Korea's military ranks among the largest standing armies globally. But its post-Korean War foreign engagement has been limited, leaving them inexperienced with modern warfare technologies like drones. For the first time in decades, the North Korean army is gaining real military experience, said Andriy Yusov, spokesperson for Ukraine's military intelligence agency. This is a global challenge, not just for Ukraine and Europe, but for the entire world.
On January 20th, Russian war correspondents reported that in the Bolshoi-Soldotskoye area, 3 DPRK soldiers, for reasons still unknown, killed 5 of Putin's Marines. This joyful event took place on January 13th. Kim's soldiers are still on the run. Their photos are published by local law enforcement officers from Kursk region. At the same time, the leaflet states in black and white that the murder was committed by servicemen from the DPRK, not Tuvans, about whom the Kremlin loves to talk so much, claiming that there are allegedly no Kim soldiers in the Russian Federation. The leaflet also says that the killers are armed and very dangerous. They may be in the Oryol, Kursk, Bryansk and Belgorod regions. The day before, the American press wrote that Kim's soldiers were also seen violating international rules of warfare. In Kursk, they, like Putin's soldiers, also shot Ukrainian servicemen who wanted to surrender. Journalists from the Wall Street Journal report that the Human Rights Foundation has studied in detail the documents confiscated by the Ukrainian armed forces from North Korean soldiers. One of them states that they shot those who wanted to surrender as a sign of revenge for the death of their comrades on the battlefield in the Kursk region. Aerial views of Rafah, in Gaza on Monday showed the widespread destruction after more than a year of war. According to Associated Press, as well as the devastation, the video also showed Palestinians attempting to return to their homes since Sunday's ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. People are seen trekking through the wreckage, some on foot and others hauling their belongings on donkey carts. During the 15-month war, many have had to relocate several times as the Israeli offensive targeted different areas of the enclave. The return of the families comes amid looming uncertainty about whether the ceasefire deal will bring more than a temporary halt to the fighting, who will govern the enclave and how it will be rebuilt. The United Nations has said that reconstruction could take more than 350 years if Gaza remains under an Israeli blockade. The war in Gaza began when Hamas-led militants attacked southern Israel on October 7, 2023, killing some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and abducting around 250 people. Some 100 hostages are still inside Gaza, at least a third of whom are believed to be dead. The Israeli military bombardment that followed the attack has flattened large swaths of Gaza and displaced 1.9 million of its 2.3 million residents. Over 46,000 Palestinians have been killed, according to Gaza's health ministry, which says women and children make up more than half the fatalities but does not distinguish between civilians and fighters. The Israeli military says it has killed over 17,000 militants, without providing evidence.